2019 Z06. Let's see what it sounds like prior to the X-pipe on a cold start. It's pretty loud. So that's a stock X-pipe with resonators. Get that listen for a second. Okay, that'll be interesting to see the difference. I don't have to run it all too long, obviously, because I'm inside. So, but yeah, that'll be kind of cool. All right, well, you just heard the cold start with the standard X-pipe, and now we're going to install the Kooks X-pipe, which comes in a box like that. I'll take it out here in a second. And basically what we have to do is, we have to come under the car, obviously it's on the lift, and we need to remove this piece here. Basically it's like a connection plate for the chassis. Obviously there's a ton of bolts in there. So we got two separate size socket heads. So we will see. Looks like you can just crack these ones loose. Here and here. And it looks like those are the only two that are slotted. So these ones we would just crack loose so we can slide the plate, you know, back and forth like this. So you don't have to sit there and try to hold it by yourself. So let me get the tools together. I'll get you guys set up, and we're gonna get this swapped out. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, so this is what we have. We have a 13 and an 18 millimeter. An 18 millimeter are these larger ones right here. So the rest are all 13s. So I'm gonna go through and yank those all out. My trusty Milwaukee impact. These two I'm just going to loosen, like that, leave them loose. Seemed a little like it was a little crooked. The factory would never do that. These operators only have so long to put this thing together, and they do whatever it takes to put it together in that period of time. Oh, I'm gonna leave this one loose, so I can use the slot. It's kind of cool. There's an alignment dowel to keep it to keep the width. That's interesting. Interesting. I'll put this back in. Yeah, this impact has been sweet. I mean, it's great. It's still fuel brushless. It's a nice little impact. This whole fuel set is pretty sweet. Alright, so now I got the 18s to do. I mean, that's pretty fast, right? I'm using a ladder as my tool cart. Oh, I missed this one. There's the 18 mils. These ones are really long. So, you got these being loose, just hold it up there. Take it and loosen a little more. Get it all tight, you probably slide it, and there you go. There it is, big aluminum underplate. There's the exhaust. Interesting. Alright, so before I touch any of the exhaust, okay, which we're taking out this section here, all the way to here. Well, what's going to happen is the tailpipes are going to move, okay, because these are all attached right here. They're going to move. So I'm going to wrap and tape up towels around the tailpipes so they don't damage the rear diffuser over there. They'll scratch it up and whatnot. So I'm going to go do that right now. I'll probably put some WD-40 on this rubber bushing right here in order to get these out. What I do is I usually pop a little screwdriver in this bushing, spray a little WD-40 inside there to make it slip. Obviously I use a rag so it don't drip on the floor. And then that's pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. I think once I crack these right here, I'll be able to pull it down. You know, once I take the rear tube out, obviously I might have to slide forward a little bit just to pull it down. There's factory gaskets in here, I can see them. Gaskets, I think they're gaskets, yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, it looks like these are just nuts on here. So I could probably just take those out, I'll just do those by hand. And then you can get these little resonators, secondary caps, whatever you want. We get this 3-inch X pipe on here. Which looks much nicer than this thing. This looks like it's 2 3/4. So, let me get that, excuse me, let me get that back end taped up and then we'll continue with removing the exhaust. I really didn't have to tape it. I just basically wrapped it around it. I used the drying towel and I wrapped it around it. It was long enough. I wrapped around the whole entire thing. And obviously you can see I tucked it in there. That's it. That's just to stop it from bouncing around the inside here. Which this is all, it's textured plastic, but we don't want it to get scratched up. And there's a bezel down here. So yeah, I can't tell if that's, yeah, it's an installed bezel. That bezel actually gets installed in here from the back side. So, all right, let's get it set up and we'll start getting the exhaust off. So basically all the bolts up here are 15 mil. So you got 2 here, and the 2 clamps back there, they're all 15 millimeter. I'm using this extension with a shallow. Once I get down there, I get it on here, so I'll just fiddle around and this one on this side over here, the stud actually came loose. I don't know why, but it did. So, we'll get all 4 of these out, and then I'll get those 2 out there, and then we'll continue from there. I got all the bolts loose, they're all out. Now I'm going to take a screwdriver, kind of wedge it in these the holes right here on the lower pin, and squirt a little bit of WD-40 inside the hole. You get this grommet to slide out easier. And then I don't want to drip on the floor obviously, so. I don't shove the screwdriver all the way in, I just kind of get it to open up a little bit so I can stick the tip of the nozzle in there just to squirt it in there. That's it. Just to get it to get loose. And then I'll go wiggle it around. We'll do some on this side as well. Making sure not to drip. That should be good. That's it for a minute, and we'll work it around, get it loose. Well, the front came off. see the OE gaskets right here. This looks like a catalytic converter actually, like a dual cats. So I'm going to have to get a pry bar and get this grommet off, just to get this thing to move. I'm going to shove it back in here so I don't damage the exhaust gaskets. So this is loose now back here, definitely. So I'm going to have to pry this rubber grommet off. Maybe I'll just unbolt it. What if I just unbolt it? Looks like a 15 mil. Let's see. Might be easier just to unbolt it. That's 13 mil. Maybe. I don't know why they use so many different sizes. Yep, 13 mil. I'm just going to take the bracket off. It's only two 13 mil bolts. And that seems a lot easier. Keep those separate. Now I can deal with it on the floor. Alright, let's see what it takes to get this thing out of here. And this is why you tape up the back, because I'm really flexing the tail. That's one side, the other side. There you go. This thing ain't light. It definitely isn't light. Yeah, see, this is just it's pretty loose now. That's basically pivoting off of that. And it would have definitely hit the rear if I didn't tape it off. I'm glad I did. Alright, let me get the box open. We'll go through it. I'll get them side by side and we can see the difference. There's the difference. And by the way, there was no instructions in the box. So I'm going to either go download them from their website, or I'm just going to guess, which I'm usually pretty good at guessing. So it can only kind of go in this order based on also where the grommets are at. The only thing I was a little bit confused with was the two front pieces, but they look to be identical. So you just rotate them. So it looks like two of the same ones. So obviously this one has a lot more connections here, you know, here, and then in the back right there. And you end up using this grade, I don't know, they look like just standard steel bolts for the manifold side connection, which these are obviously stainless. I don't know if I agree with that, but that's what they got with it. They're just galvanized stainless bolts with some nuts and washers. So, all right. So here you go. Get a better bird's eye view. Get your connections here, and then in the back. And obviously these are loose. So they're like separate. Well, the whole it's kind of whole thing. So you get it. And there you go. There's another view. So we'll still have the standard cats, which is here. And then your after-cat O2 sensors, which are here. So these do look like catalytic converters. They're like a secondary cat. And supposedly this should gain about 25 to 30 horsepower at the wheels, from what I understand. I was just kind of looking online and seeing what people were dining with him without a tune. So we'll see if I can actually feel the difference. All right, I'm gonna get to installing it. Got two new 2 3/4 clamps. Those I'm gonna put in the back here. see how much it does clamps in the same direction, which I'll put from the inside this direction, like the OE ones were. Get this one on, which just has a nut and so forth in the middle, so you can, and then you have to go after the fact and tighten it up. So the original one went on this direction. So that obviously slid right on. I'm going to shove it all the way back. It was actually hitting the factory welds. There's like little weld bumps to stop you from driving too far back. So really like that. I'll take this little plastic. Oh, maybe I'll do that for some mind. We'll get the mid one on. Oh, ouch. Get the mid one on. I'm almost a little too tall. I could probably crank the vehicle up a little bit. So, I think it goes on like this, because you can't really screw it up. This stepper here kind of prevents that. I'll leave one first. Now they're both the same. This is where it becomes a pain in the ass. This is setting the distance back there. I'm going to put my mount up. I have my little support things here to kind of hold on to it. Get this thing cranked up. Do it just to support it. It's not wobbling around on me so much. Because this will, we can adjust this. A little bit anyway. So let's get it back on there. Not fighting me too much. Because it looks like it's a 1/4 inch off. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do it on the ground. I think the stop up the rear is preventing me from installing this. So I'm going to pull it back off and try doing it once on the ground. Okay, that definitely was the way to do it, was to install the X pipe into the rear section and then slide it over the rear. It was a pain in the ass, and I banged my head a couple times. You do have to reuse the OE gaskets, or you can buy new ones, it's up to you. This car only has about 600 miles on it. So I very gently took a screwdriver and around the edges tapped and kind of wiggled and wiggled until they slid off. And then I'll get them slid on the new ones. So here's being with the new one here. And obviously you want to put it on there straight. Should slide on. If you have it straight anyway. So it looks like I have to work at these to get these on. I might have to use a little rubber mallet and nice and easy because they're like wire reinforced. This might have been easier if this was warm, but this car's been sitting here for a week now, so I'm not sure. So, anyways, I get the gaskets worked on, and then we'll get the front section hooked up. Okay, I got the gaskets on. And another key note, I mean, I actually ended up laying them on there and then tapping with a rubber mallet. I don't know. Looks like they may have cracked, but we'll see. Yeah, they're kind of tough to put on there, so I might have to buy new ones of these and replace them. But anyways, make sure you put all your clamps on before you put the exhaust together. I did everything with a nut facing to the inside. Basically inboard to the vehicle. My glove ripped, have to put a new glove on. But so far, it actually hasn't been too bad. Honestly, the hardest part so far has been these gaskets. The rest of it, if you just put X-pipe together, and then these things just slide right together. They're pretty tight fit, so it does help that I have the support under there. So I drive them all the way in, and semi-rotate them to the direction they got to go, and then slide it on up. And use that connection right there to kind of hold it. And I'll rotate them so they're nice and level. And then get the hardware that comes with your kit. You get it attached. Alright? Okay, I kind of got ahead. I lined the rear section up and I started at the back. And I lined these up to where I knew they wouldn't hit anywhere, kind of rotation wise. And I'll probably have to tighten this up a little bit more. And 15 mil. But I lined the tips up in the back here, you know, taking those two and twisting them a little bit, and then kind of looking down there and keeping everything as level as I can as I go through. This center one here, this is going to be a pain. I'm trying to figure out how to get a socket in there, a ratchet in there with a socket on it to tighten up this center one. These two here, because I got to go up. Otherwise, they'll be hanging out too far, and you'll never get your plate back on. These two I can rotate here, that's not a problem. They fit just fine, I can rotate right up in here. And then right now I'm going to tighten up the head ones, because I want to pull these in tight, and then tighten up this midsection here. And then I'll go through and make sure everything's tight. So that's what I'm doing right now. Got my ratchet wrench. And I'm tightening these equally. And what I mean by that is, the two bolts, I'm looking at the threads, and I'm watching the threads. I'm making sure they maintain the same thread count. Otherwise, you can tighten it up really crooked. So, about 2 or 3 threads. Just keep going back and forth until they're nice and snug. These don't have to be super tight. They're just about there. You don't want to break them. Okay, that's tightened up nice against that gasket. Loop into here. 3 threads. You know, I used to do all this stuff on the ground, so you can do it from the ground. You don't need to be on a lift. It's just I've always wanted one, and now I have one, so it makes it kind of nice. The cost of these things have come down so much. I mean, this thing was, I think it was $1,800 or $2,000 shipped to me, and then I installed it, and it was actually pretty easy. I installed it by myself, believe it or not. You can tip these legs up right here. You can tip them up by yourself. It wasn't that bad. Well, you better be strong. I mean, I weigh 200 pounds, so it wasn't a problem. I had a ship to my work, and then we used a fork truck to get it into my trailer, and then I unloaded it from the trailer and stood them up off the trailer because it comes packed in a metal like a crate system or a container system, you need to unpack it. That you can definitely not do without a fork truck. Maybe if you had a cherry picker, you could probably use that, because I think that's what they show. But I'd say these two are tight. Now I'm going to go through and tighten these. Then I need to change over to a, well, that I can use my impact on. I'm going through another glove already. These ones I'm just going to rotate this outside here and tighten up this way. And I'm keeping about an 1/8" gap to the end between the two pipes so you can actually see the pipe. About an 1/8". And then I'm going to try to get these as level as I can. Just to keep them out of the way. Make sure to keep everything clear. Because you definitely don't want to finish this. Put it all back together. Drive down the road and hear clunk, 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 clunk. So this is a torque adjustable impact. I have it on setting 3, which I'm not really sure what that is, but that's the ratcheting sound you're hearing. So I'm just looking at it and I can see how clear it is. I'd say that's pretty good. So now this middle one here is the one I gotta use the ratchet on. That's gonna be pain. The rest of it's installed. It's in there. What I'm going to do is when I get this one nice and tight, then we'll do a start and I'll check for leaks prior to putting the plate on. And that's a good thing about having an automatic. You can remote start it. And stop it. I don't need to get in the vehicle. So let me get that set up. I'll get that nice and tight like the rest. And then we'll continue from there. Everything's tightened, but I could not invert the two center ones here. Okay? I could not have them up on top. I couldn't get a wrench in there. I couldn't get them tight enough and everything. So I got them rotated nice and tight. And I'm just making sure I'm not going to hit. Okay? This one, actually, there's a clearance. You don't have to worry about so much about this one, but this one you do. So I probably could rotate this one up a little bit further. Matter of fact, I'm going to, just to get it up higher too as well, so it doesn't hang down at all. So you can see right here, that's hanging, or hitting right there. That one's got clearance. This one's hanging down. So I'm going to rotate this one up a little bit more and then tighten that one up. And then we'll do a cold start. All right, cold start with new Kooks X pipe. If you recall the difference earlier. So let's see what she sounds like. Sounds raspy. All right, we'll get it all buttoned up and then go for a drive. Okay, got it back up in the air. I checked for exhaust leaks. I was in the car while I was running. But the small bolts here, all the small ones, are 20 foot-pounds torque. And these are 74 foot-pounds, the two larger ones. So I'm going to go through and torque them all. I ran them in with the impact lightly. Go through and torque every one. That one's good. I'll get some better torque wrenches. I need some inch pounds and I like to get a nice neutral one. This is more than just a plate, it's a chassis reinforcement. So it's a tunnel. I could call it a tunnel brace. So you kind of want to make sure it's tightened to spec. Now it doesn't call out a particular order, so I'm just starting in the front and working my way back. Make sure I get every bolt. the 74. Crank it up. There. Let's do these two. That's it. I'm going to start putting the aero kit on because this has the stage 3 aero package that came with the car. Right now it just has the small ones, small sides. So I'm going to lower the car down. I'm going to switch these out. But I think I'm going to run some Geon trim on this black plastic here because this ends up getting covered. I'm going to Geon trim this black plastic prior to doing that. So you got to clean it with alcohol, nice and clean, and then I'll put some Geon trim on it. That doesn't take very long. And then I'll get the new stage 3 aero on there. Got the stage 3 aero installed. We're going to go for a ride now. There's the front, little side pieces. They didn't give me the hardware, so I had to modify the existing screws, which means cut the washers. So I'm cutting the washers off the screws, and there's the tail. I think I'm going to hit it with some detail spray. So I wasn't sure on the height adjustment here, so I just had it lowered, all the way down, so I know that's the least amount. I think it looks pretty good like that. So let's get another start on this thing since it's on the ground, the door is open, so it's like it was before. Let's get it warmed up and then we'll go for a ride. Definitely say it sounds better. It's a little deeper. I can't tell the power yet though. But I think it's well worth the money instead of going through like a full exhaust system or doing headers and whatnot. It's kind of crazy how when you have this thing on a lift, when you set it back down, the suspension takes like time to resettle. It's weird. I don't get it. It's weird. So. Alright, well that was a Kooks X pipe installed with the OE exhaust and OE manifolds. So I'm happy with it. I don't think I'm gonna change it. It's loud when I want it to be and quiet when I want it to be, and I definitely think it picked up some horsepower. So, thanks for watching.